Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Right, I'm going to keep a very tight eye on my time. So here we go. So we're going to talk about virtual reality and how we've been using it to teach practical skills to our undergraduate and postgraduate students. Oh, and the time's up. So virtual reality is not a new thing, and I'm going to be talking about mostly immersive virtual reality. It's not particularly widely used within higher education settings, but immersive virtual reality combines 3D graphics with an interactive user interface. So the user feels like they're fully immersed in this 3D environment and they're getting real-time feedback. What is super beneficial from a teaching perspective is that we can choose any environment that we would like as educators to offer to our students. So we can pick realistic scenarios that help teach really abstract concepts, or we can put them into really inaccessible or even dangerous environments that they would never get to access otherwise. As VR allows our students to explore and manipulate and experience an expanded range of different learning scenarios, it aligns really strongly with the constructivist learning theory, which emphasizes active knowledge construction through experience and interaction. So through this, we're hoping to create a deeper learning and enhanced motivation. So my first involvement with VR was back in 2017-18 when I was part of a team that won funding from the university to develop a bespoke VR app. We were one of only 10 apps from across the university that were picked to work with leading design company Edify, who helped us design and build our app. So the course that our app was designed for was a compulsory junior honours course called the Molecular Methods course. It's a compulsory third-year undergraduate course, and it's got everybody from anatomy to zoology, which means we get varying levels of engagement in the molecular content that we cover as part of this course. So in previous years, we have noticed that there was a disconnect between the practical work the students performed in the lab and the data analysis that they were asked to complete as part of their results. Therefore, our virtual reality app was designed to support their understanding of working through, in this case, a qPCR experiment. So what I've got here is just the beginnings, just to give you a little snapshot of what the virtual reality app looked like. It's modeled on an actual research lab here at the university, so the students get the chance to feel like they're working independently in a research environment, which is something that they wouldn't get to do until they reach their final year. Now, the University of Glasgow is quite unique in that we do have our own multi-user virtual reality suite that is dedicated to teaching. It's got 15 separate individual spaces that all have a Meta Quest 3 headset linked up to a computer monitor so that us as educators can see what the student is seeing, plus there are decontamination boxes. Now, back in 2019, when our brand spanking new teaching tool was about ready to be launched, we got hit with a fairly minor issue that there was a global pandemic and everything stopped in terms of in-person teaching, and that made skills development for our students really even more important for us to be able to teach these practical skills to. Thus, virtual reality by proxy was born. So one educator would be wearing the headset and they would broadcast what they were seeing in real time to the students so that they could talk them through it in real time and answer any questions. So this allows users to access these virtual reality spaces without the need for their own expensive hardware. We evaluated the by proxy effectiveness and we looked at student confidence, knowledge acquisition, learning experience and enjoyment. And we did this through posing questionnaires and focus groups. And we compared how our VR students did compared to less immersive online methodologies just through Moodle itself. So our results showed that although there were no observable differences between the learning outcomes students in the VR test group report between both groups, in our VR test group, we saw an enhanced increase in learning experience, confidence, and these students found it to be a much more enjoyable experience than the control group without any VR. So we received largely positive feedback all round from using this VR app by proxy, with students hoping that they could have more VR apps included in their curriculum. Although most of the students reported that they'd never used VR before, we had a few that said that they did feel slightly overwhelmed or a slight feeling of nausea, which is expected with virtual reality. So that was a very quick spin through the study. So if you would like to read more, we have now published our study in the journal Virtual Reality, and we hope that this study goes some way to making a further dent in the topic, so thinking about how effective virtual reality could be as a replacement for online labs. Although virtual reality by proxy opens up a lot of doors in terms of teaching practical skills at a distance, we really did want to use our custom-built VR suite on campus. So we've now expanded our portfolio of teaching apps, and we have a new one which is focusing on tissue culture aimed at final year undergraduates as well as postgraduate students. So this tissue culture app is very similar in that it's a skills-based app and it's been designed by the same developers, but this one was designed by Merck, the life sciences company, alongside the Scottish Universities Life Sciences Alliance, which is called SALSA. And tissue culture is a notoriously difficult technique to be able to teach large cohorts, and it is very wasteful. So I completed my Master's of Education, and I performed a similar study with participants from postgraduate courses. And in this study, they used the VR app themselves rather than it being by proxy. And the study found that about 90% of students felt that the VR helped improve their understanding of the tissue culture techniques that were covered, and that they found it easy to use. So in conclusion, our work has shown that virtual reality is a useful tool for enhancing student confidence and understanding of practical lab skills. And so on the theme of sustainability, we hope that by using virtual reality as a pre-tool exercise will allow them to increase their confidence, minimize errors when they're working in the lab, and therefore minimizing waste. So hopefully I've managed to stick to time. There's a huge number of people that I would like to thank, everybody who's been involved, and thank you very much for listening.